Hello, folks. It is Tuesday, October 13th, and welcome to Uplifted. Just in a couple hours, our ladies will be having their Tuesday night ladies' prayer meeting. This week, it's at the coffee shops, and so I sure hope you can make it and be a part of that special time as we are praying for our revival meeting, which starts tomorrow. And at our normal service time, and that is 6:30. We are having a meal each night before the service, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and that is free, and it will be a great time. We're looking for God to really do a work in our hearts. We're in Romans chapter number 13, and we've come to verse number 8 and 9. It says here, "Owe no man anything, but love one another, for he that loveth another hath fulfilled the law." So it sort of seemed to me that, there's a lot of things we can do for others, and once we do them, we have satisfied our responsibility. But when it comes to loving one another, when we love somebody, it doesn't mean that we're done. We've got to continue to love them and continue to love them day after day after day, week, month, and year after year. But then he says in verse number 9, "For this, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. And if there be any commandment, it is briefly comprehended in this saying, namely, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is fulfilling the law." So, the proper love is going to keep us from committing these sins, because I'm not going to do these things that would hurt other people and damage them and offend them if I love them. When my love and I love them more than I love myself, or we could say more than I love my sin, it's going to determine how I behave myself. So he says there, "For this," what? Loving one another and fulfilling the law in loving one another. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not bear false witness, thou shalt not covet. If there be any other commandment, he says there, then he says, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And so, quite a challenging passage. And it causes me to think of 1 Corinthians chapter number 13 that I'd like us to look at here in 1 Corinthians 13, known as the love chapter. But it states here, "Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, and have not charity, I am become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, and have not charity, love, it profiteth me nothing." And so we see that charity is the power. Charity is essential when it comes to everything that we do. It is going to help us not to, as we saw in Romans there, do certain things, and then love, charity, will also be that which provokes us to do other things for others. He says in verse number 4, Charity suffereth long. So what it is, long suffering. So my love determines how long suffering or patient I am with individuals. That's why with some folks, you are very, very long suffering, patient. And with others, not so. Why? Because you don't love them as much as you love the other individual. He says, love is kind. Charity is kind. It envieth not. Why would I envy good and the blessing of God or good things happening in somebody's life that I loved? Why would I envy that and say, I wish that was happening to me? But to not envy is why I'm excited for them. I'm happy for them because I love them. Charity, love, envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. It's not self-promoting, is not puffed up. It's not looking to exalt or put ourselves above and before others. And doth not behave itself unseemly or strangely. When people behave themselves in strange ways and do strange things toward others, that's not born out of a heart of love. Then he says there, seeketh not her own. It's not about me. It's not about what I want. I'm not seeking my own agenda, my own way. Is not easily provoked. And again, there's some that we can be very, very gracious with, but then others, it's not so. Why? Because how we love them determines how easily we are provoked, or in a sense, I guess you could say, how short your fuse is. And so we see as he ties in Romans chapter number 13, and now here in 1 Corinthians chapter number 13, he talks about this love. And I'd like to spend a little bit more time on this on Thursday. Folks, I hope you are well. I hope the Bible study uplifted your heart. Hey, love one another as God has loved you. Enjoy the song we've picked out for you today.
One day when heaven was filled with his praises, one day when sin was as black as could be, Jesus came forth to be born of a virgin, dwelt among men, my example is he.
The Word became flesh and a light shined among us, his glory revealed. Living he loved me, dying he saved me, buried he carried my sins far away, rising he justified, free